E-Mansion online platform. We're coming to you from the grounds of the Executive Mansion. And we're here to bring you a live coverage of an energy roundtable proffered by the Liberian leader, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai, with the World Bank
Electricity Corporation
and other energy stakeholders. I'm Emmanuel Kipper.
International organization. They will all rise to receive His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia.
And His Excellency, the President, will arrive. He enters and takes his seat. I'm right here with my team, Madam Kula Fufana, the head, Presidential Press Secretary, Lovette Famule, Joseph Blackie, and the rest of the team. And as we said, is an energy roundtable with the World Bank and other energy stakeholders here, proffered by the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency President Joseph Boakai, who is already seated, as you can see. Members of this forum all seated. A little consultation ongoing.
Good morning, Your Excellency the President, and good morning, Your Excellencies, Honorable Minister of Finance, distinguished representatives of international organizations and the donor community, Honorable Chairpersons of the Senate Committee on Land, Natural Resources, Mineral Resources and the Environment, and Honorable Chairman of the Houses Committee, Honorable Minister and distinguished heads of agency, CEO of the Liberia Electricity Corporation. May I use this opportunity to welcome all of you to this very critical Liberia Roundtable discussion on the energy sector. This roundtable is intended to identify the challenges and the solutions associated with delivery of clean, affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy to Liberians, and to reaffirm government's commitment and the donor community's continual support in the energy sector. On that note, may I invite your kind attention as we deliberate during the course of this roundtable. And distinguished excellencies, may I also use this opportunity to welcome those of you who travel all the way from your different stations for this purpose, very important event. I want to thank you for your kind attention. On this note, may I now pass the microphone over to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Liberia, who will now open this important roundtable discussion with a remark. Your Excellency, Mr. President.
His Excellency the President,
Thank you, Mr. Minister, distinguished ambassadors, representatives of our most valued and intersected partner institutions. Am I audible? Thank you. The West African Power Group, and in particular the World Bank Infrastructure Team in French, the Energy Sector Minister, and the government officials here present. I hope we will have some legislators here in the energy sector stakeholders and partners joining us online, in particular the mobile West African Power Group, our friends in the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a pleasure to welcome you all to this energy sector roundtable. I'm delighted to see such an august representation from some of our most valued and outstanding energy sector partners. I'm not sure I can find enough words to adequately convey my warmth and welcome to all of you. Let me kick off this roundtable with a firm confirmation that the energy sector is at the very top of my administration again. Everyone here today will wholeheartedly agree that without affordable, reliable, renewable power, it would be a tall order to achieve the growth and stability needed to elevate our people, the ordinary citizens of Liberia, out of poverty.
And you see a number of stakeholders right here. But we're coming to you from the grounds of the executive mansion. And the bedrock of this gathering, as you heard, is to ensure the sustainability of the energy sector of the Republic of Liberia.
Back in 2016, when I served as Vice President, I received a briefing on this St. Paul's second hydro among coffee extension project by a gentleman who I believe should be here today in this room. It was out of this historic renewal that the decision to redesign, sign off the project, feasibility studies with the West African Power Group and the World Bank was reached. Today we formally, wholeheartedly embrace the opportunity to fast track and complete that critical understanding under my administration. So, let me therefore say today that not a single shred of doubt in my position on the SP2 hydro project and the Mount Coffee extension. We believe in this project and we welcome it. Let no one here in this room or in future in the media or the social media doubt my commitment as I hear today say, we initiated this project back in 2016 when I was Vice President, and we do all in my power as President of this country to complete what we have started during my tenure as President. Let me also embrace and reiterate here that with the help of our partners, these projects will be delivered to the highest standard, international standard, and free of all sort of predatory political interference seen in the past. What we need for you here is to have confidence enough, our value energy sector partners, and this means that we're going to all together achieve the building the goal that we have set for ourselves. And the request for your assistance comes in form of a required international expertise to deliver the rapid scaling of our qualified Liberians selected on merit basis, and of course, critically, the level of funding needed for such transformation. Distinct partners and stakeholders, be reminded that these are not just renewable development projects critical to oil, but also critical in collective climate change obligations, and that it is the level of impact that they can have on the displacement of fossil fuel generation. They are also more than mere development projects. They are nation-building projects, a huge priority of my administration. When the goal of the project is achieved, the impact will be felt across many sectors of our economy, including the commerce and the industry, the communication sector, the education sector, the health sector, agriculture, as well as in our domestic and regional stability, all which culminate into my arrest agenda. The previous acts of institutional pillaging, the result of bad practice across the government and corruption practices we have witnessed throughout the government and the history of our country, I can assure you will never be allowed as long as we hold the Liberian people gavel in our hands. As we interact today, I am fully aware and do understand that in the deep recesses of our minds, development partners, that's the justified concern for our capacity to prudently supervise the use of the taxpayers' funds committed to this enterprise, be they direct to us or channeled through our donors. This commitment is important priority, and as such, our energy sector leaders be expected to deliver to me regular personal briefing on progress, the impediments, the challenges on a quarterly basis. By this, we hope to prevent slippages, delays, and other bottlenecks. I find it so disheartening to know that for the last several years, we have had to watch this critical sector subjected to some level of opportunism, corruption, and it defies all comprehension. Be assured that partners, that my presidency and my administration will move deliberately and strictly to squash any such tendency that serve primarily to enrich few people, destroying the lives of so many of our Liberians. I have been informed that it is only the last 2 years that the Liberian CEO and LEC management team have managed to establish a genuine position in partner confidence. This week was engendered by diverse projects, the reduction in the power cap, some checks of internal corruption, as well as continued and encouraging evidence of good management. We all should be very proud that it was only one of the Liberian management team selected and appointed purely on the basis of merit that such confidence was so successfully built. My partners, I want to strongly believe and hope that my records in higher levels of government and demonstrated integrity will build in you the confidence that you deserve to put your trust and confidence in this person. I have made it clear to all sections and sectors of our government, including the management of LEC, what this administration stands for, and for what we expect of them. At the very top of this list is integrity, and I say that integrity is zero tolerance of corruption and upholding the best practices. I have equally given my assurance to the corporation of my fullest confidence and support for the implementation of these projects, and I will ensure the energy sector leadership that tolerates none of the bad practices of the time. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to make a few concluding remarks before I close. First, I would like to encourage you to consider the benefits of delivering an early access road that enables the fastest possible delivery of the Simple second hydro project at a maximum megawatt capacity achievable. By this, we will be securing the future underwritten at an increased level of Liberian energy sovereignty. Second, that you look at a phase storage capacity of the Via and the Simple River confluence that finally help us overcome our dry season deficit. Third, that you work with my Minister of Finance and Development Planning, the Minister of Mines and Energy, and the LEC management to finalize the funding structures for these priority projects as soon as possible. The fourth, that you will continue to support our energy sector leadership to reinforce and expand the existing grid and connections, as well as to continue with a fast-track upscaling of the Liberian expertise in the sector. Finally, that you will inform me directly if at any time you become aware of any sort of signs of corruption that you become aware of, and any sign of hooliganism that you might have previous administration. And I'm saying that with all seriousness, that we're going to deal with any sort of corruption, the honest sign of quality that is shown in the implementation of these projects. Let me close and clearly state that here today that I will designate the St. Paul second hydro project and the Mount Coffee generation project as strategic national presidential priorities. My motivation for these projects is, of course, the huge benefit that they bring to the ordinary citizen and the commercial sector of our great nation. It is also some small part driven by my recollection as Vice President in 2016, and I encourage the initiation of these projects, and I will now see them completed during my administration of the President of this country. So, I now invite you and key partners and more value energy partners to work with us to deliver these projects that are great significant to our country and to our people for nation building. As I always say, my motivation comes from the fact that all of us here in this room, including our partners, when we do things, we should always think Liberia, love Liberia, and build this great nation. Pray for God's blessing upon all of us, and we ask God to protect our country. I want to thank you, I want to welcome you, and I want to wish you well. God bless you.
Announced there by His Excellency the President of this opening section of the Energy Roundtable, right here with the World Bank and other stakeholders.
And the recommitment of your administration's commitment to improving the energy sector in collaboration with our donor community partners, and for recommitting yet again, as you have always done, your determination to improving the lives of our people. On this note, we will proceed to the second item, the third item, which is a statement by a few remarks by ourselves, restating the priority consideration, policy priorities as far as this government's commitment to the energy sector is concerned. Your Excellency, Mr. President, distinguished Excellencies, Mr. Minister of Finance and Cabinet colleagues here present, heads of agencies and international organizations, Mr. CEO, Honorable Chairpersons of the Houses Committee, the two committees of the legislature on our sector, ladies and gentlemen, the focus of this energy sector roundtable, as His Excellency the President of Liberia has already stressed, is a further demonstration of government's commitment to not only improving the energy sector, but also to enabling it meet the country's ever-increasing energy demands. We are grateful to the donor community and our partners for their continuous support and renewed confidence and trust. While over the years, some important milestones have been achieved, such as increase in energy supplies from 201 megawatts to 401 megawatts, a remarkable drop in aggregate technical and commercial losses from about 60% to less than 60%, expansion of energy network to parts of the country, including Bomi, Grand Cape, Margibi, and many previously unserved communities in Monserrado County, establishment of some regulatory agencies, a hybrid mini-grid system in low-fire plants for hydropower plants in Nimba, Sano, River G, electricity distribution in Grand Bazaar and River Cess, and of course the electrification of some 200 health facilities and vaccine coaching respectively, and lot more remains to be done to meet the country's growing energy demands. The quality of electricity supplies at the same time in the distribution areas of Nimba and Bong remain poor and need priority consideration. Corruption, as the President has rightly said, the lack of accountability, transparency, and inefficiency in energy sector governance, and the awarding of distribution contracts, the interference from top-level government officials are still a major challenge that must be addressed if we must achieve the desired outcome. For this, the President has shown remarkable, strong, and unprecedented political will to tackle. His Excellency the President has also attached great importance and urgency to the need for expansion of the electricity grid, mitigating network vulnerabilities, comprehensive and efficient grid management, decentralization, maintenance of comprehensive and efficient grid management, development of renewable off-grid solutions, improvement and streamlining of regulations within the energy sector, increasing domestic power generation capacity, which currently stands at 104 megawatt, and note all full capacity, the 4 turbines at Mount Coffee Hydro Plant generate up to about 88, which will total to about 126. That increases our total domestic capacity generation. His Excellency the President's recent state visit to the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire was a qualified success, as our electricity imports from that country are likely to increase from 35 megawatts to 50 megawatts. Yet a further demonstration of government's firm commitment and determination to addressing the energy needs. For this roundtable, Your Excellencies, it is extremely important to highlight the President's recommitment, and I will conclude with this. As the Vice President, and I'm quoting the President, as the Vice President, I authorized the initiation of these projects in 2016, and they will now be finished under my presidency. On this final point, we now move to 2 presentations on LEC's performance update and Simpor 2 hydropower project, which is also a top priority, and Liberia's upgrade access program. These 2 presentations will be followed by a presentation on the World Bank's support to Liberia's energy sector. The discussion session that follows will focus on 3 thematic areas, 3 pillars. The first pillar will be increased access, power sector reform, and LEC performance enhancement. And the second pillar will be looking at Simpor 2 hydropower project. And of course, the third pillar will be on strengthening government and donor collaboration. That is followed by an opening comment by His Excellency, the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany. The World Bank will then make remarks. There will be a closing remark from the government to be delivered by His Excellency, the President of Liberia. So once again, I want to thank all of us who are here, and we will proceed to the next phase of our roundtable, which begins with presentation from the Liberia Electricity Corporation through its CEO, the Honorable Moni Katan. That will be followed by presentation from rural and renewable energy, also on the renewable section of this forum. So I want to thank you, and Honorable Katan, may I now pass over the microphone.
All right, he's the Minister Boakai of Minister of Mines and Energy.
Distinguished Excellencies,
Captain.
International organizations, donor partners, officials of government present, our distinguished chairpersons of the legislature. It is an honor for us to present to you an update on LEC's progress. So I would like to begin first by looking at our key performance indicators, which will cover from 2021 to 2023 actuals and our 2024 projected KPI targets. So we begin first with the trend of sales, and as you can see, from 2021 to 2023, which are actuals, can you go back?
All right, he's doing a PowerPoint production. Never mind.
If you can look at there, we started in 2021 with annual sales of about 27 million, and by 2023 we were up to $54 million for 2023. This year, 2024, our projection is to reach $83 million in sales, energy sales, this year. So, which is a significant increase from 2021 to 2023. The trend of energy generated versus what we have built. If you look at 2021, you can see a small portion of energy that was built, and as we go up, it increases significantly. And what accounts for this increase is the fact that we have reduced the level of power theft, allowing us to build for more of the energy that we have generated. So, as you can see from sorry, you're going faster than me. Can you? Yeah. Can you go back? As you can see from the graph, we have gone from the percentage of megawatts built from 34%, and we project up to 60%, which means a higher retention of the sales of energy that we generated. Please go to the next. Trend of commercial losses. As you know, this graph is one where we want to see the line going down. So we started from as high as 47.7% in 2021. And today, 2023, we were able to reduce that to 31.4%. We have also set quite an ambitious target to reach 20.59% in commercial losses by the end of this year. And we are on course to achieving that. So by doing this, we are able to retain most of the sales of our electricity. Trend of customer connections. Please go to the next. So as you can see, we started in 2021 with about 142,000 customers. We ended 2023 with 282,000 customers. And by the end of this year, we expect to end this year with 366,669 customers. And this is the trend we are moving as we move towards increasing access to Liberians. This is a trend that we are happy to see. We also have KPIs on the trend of income for the year. So if you look at 2021, we had an annual loss of $21 million. In 2022, it was about $23 million. By 2023, when the Liberia management took over LEC, we cut the losses in half. from $23 million to $11 million in 2022, which is a significant reduction. And this year, we will cut it down to 10.9, and we could have done a much better job, but we have started this year with a dry season where we are buying a significant amount of fuel that is affecting our financials. So this is our income statement for 2022 and 2023. You can see the actuals for the 2 years, an increase in energy sales from 24 million to 54 million. And if you look at our losses at the bottom, we had a loss from 23, we reduced to 11 million. 2024, which is this year, those are projections. We expect to reach total energy sales of 83 million, and we expect a net income of negative 10.9 million. At the bottom, we have a line that shows you how much we have spent on thermal generation, so fuel costs. In 2024, we're looking at $77.3 million in fuel costs. So if we did not incur that cost in fuel, you can see that our losses would have been only about $3 million. This is a statement on our CIE and Transco CLSG account as of January 2024. So this is very current. Total transmission charges we received so far since the activation of CLSG has been 6.1 million. Out of that amount, government has paid 800,000, 814,000, and LEC has paid out of its own revenue 5.3 million, giving a balance of 0. So right now, we don't owe CLSG Transco anymore. Under the PPA, which is the current energy we're consuming from Cote d'Ivoire, our energy bill, total bill, has been $20.2 million. Of that amount, the government has paid $7.4 million, and LEC on its own resources have paid $10.1 million. So we have a balance to CIE of $2.6 million currently. Also at the bottom, we have the account on our legacy cross-border debt. As you know, from 2016, we've had electricity supply to several border counties, and that legacy debt was about $12 million when we signed the power purchase agreement. Of that amount, $3.7 million has been paid by government, and we still have a balance of $8.3 million. We have approached the CIE to restructure this debt so that we can pay it over a 36-month period. And there has been a positive response to that proposal. So one of the things that LEC has embarked on as an initiative is to fill gap communities. One of the biggest problems we have in the Monrovia and urban areas is that there are many communities that have not been connected. And as a result, we've created a situation of basic deprivation of those communities, leading to power theft and illegal connection. So you can see that palm tree, the last mile, people are desperate to get electricity. They're even connecting wires on palm trees to their homes. And LEC embarked on a gap community project to use limited resources we have from our revenue to connect some of those communities. Please go to the next. So far, we have connected 6,550 households on our own, and that has cost LEC $2.8 million from our revenue. So that's a picture of the actual gap community where we were installing transformers, and the evening what it looks like, and we've done quite a good quality work, even though it's an LEC project on our own. We've maintained high standards for the work we've done. We've had good now, this shows beneficiary communities which are in yellow, and then the existing gap communities. Those are the remaining gap communities that we still have to deal with. And you can see that there are quite a substantial number of gap communities. So this work has to continue. Please go to the next slide. So this is basically the number of remaining gap communities. We still have 37 gap communities remaining. And this constitutes a number of 33,768 households. And in a couple of months, that number increases. But getting them connected will cost us about $12.6 million. And this is very important because as we connect these gap communities, we're able to counter the illegal connections onto our grid. So I think this is one of a really perfect project for donors to consider. So what is our current generation situation? I'd like to take you quickly through that. Omar, yes. So this is a graph that shows you the inflow of water from the Singapore River. The top line is last year. You can see how high the inflows were. They went up as high as 150 cubic meters per second. And currently, if you look at March, that goes up to March 12th, you see that it's a straight line and very low. It's gone as low as 16 cubic meters per second. And this is quite an outlier. In the past 3 years, we've not had this kind of low inflow. So it has really exacerbated the impact of the dry season on Boakai capacity to generate electricity this year. And that has been a significant contributing factor to the low production of energy and our ability to meet the energy deficit this rainy season. Dry season, sorry. Go to the next. So this graph also shows you our generation mix, where we're getting our energy from. And sorry, I'm colorblind, so if I get the colors wrong, please forgive me. At the bottom, that looks sort of orange. Okay, so that's CLSG. And you can see the impact of CLSG on our generation mix. It's quite significant. Above, Omar, thank you, Omar. I know you want us to finish quickly. Above CLSG, that's our generators at Bushra. So you can see they are adding quite a significant amount to the energy we have. And then in the corner there on the right, you see 4 bars. Look blue. Those 4 bars are one coffee. That's all we've been able to generate. 4 hours of electricity from one coffee in this particular day, March 12th. And that's about 18 megawatts at that time. And what we do is we basically shut down our coffee during the day to allow the water levels to build up, get some water recovery, and then we'll bring our coffee in for the peak demand. Because from 6 p.m., everybody's home switching on all their appliances, and our load shoots up high. And that's when we bring in our coffee at that critical period. Omar, you can go to the next one. So this is a forecast of our load. LEC has done projections up to 2028. You can see that at 2023, our peak load was 90 megawatts. And this year, we expect that by the end of this year, we'll be up to 135 megawatts. So we are increasing load, our demand is increasing quite significantly, which means that we have to do everything possible to catch up with our generation, our supply end. Please go to the next. So a quick summary of why we find ourselves in this electricity crisis. And Mr. President, I must apologize to you that you came in office at the middle of this crisis, and this is purely a situation that none of us have control over. So as you can see, our peak load has grown by 40%. We've connected an additional 80,000 households. Our contract with CIE, which is the foreign company supplying us electricity, we contracted for up to 50 megawatts for 2024, and we have only been able to receive 50% of that capacity, which has created a major deficit of 25 megawatts in our generation that we had anticipated. And His Excellency the President has made some interventions, and we are told that by April 1st, we'll have some increases in supply from Cote d'Ivoire to help us deal with this situation as well. Lastly, we have had a very severe dry season this year, which is an outlier from previous years, which has resulted in underproduction of our coffee, thus contributing to the supply deficit that we're experiencing. What is LEC's current power supply profile? We have 28 megawatts of HFO generators. The cost of operating those generators is between 26 cents to 28 cents per kilowatt hour. And the constraint there is that this is very expensive because if you look at our average tariff is 22 cents. So we are selling HFO power below the cost of production. And thankfully, this is only happening during the dry season and not the entire year. Secondly, we have our hydropower plant, 88 megawatts of generation, and that is costing us 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Our constraint, of course, is that this production is seasonal. So in the rainy season, yes, we have this source of power, but in the dry season, we don't have this. And then thirdly, we have the CLSG import, which is costing us around 14 cents when you add the transmission cost. The constraint is that the supply is limited. So, and it requires strong liquidity. When you're trading and buying power, it's a cash. Please go back. Please go back. It requires cash payments for the electricity you buy. I'd like to note that we will be increasing our profile by adding solar, and I'll come to that. But just in terms of the cost, I'm told now that the solar will cost us somewhere around 3 to 4 cents per kilowatt hour when we install the solar plant that we are currently working on. We're going through the procurement process right now for a 20 megawatt peak solar project. We can go to the next slide. So our strategic plan going forward, what are we planning? How are we going to address all of these challenges? Let's go to the next slide and I'll begin. So we've seen that if we focus on fossil-based generation, we are going to be losing money on a regular basis because we cannot produce electricity lower than the cost of what we're selling it for. So we have to move towards renewable energy. And in doing that, we're looking at renewable energy integration, where we're adding hydro and solar complementing each other. As you all know, right now, if you look at the LEC generation, our generators are on right now while the hydro is off. So we're burning fuel. When we get our solar in place, our solar will be on at this time, where we have maximum radiance from the sun and production is optimal. And we'll be able to reduce our dependency on our thermal fossil fuel-based generators. And then in the rainy season, we then have the benefit of hydro, so we're complementing the two sources of energy. Please go to the next slide. So I'll just run this quickly through this, but this is a study that was done, and it shows that solar and hydro, especially for Liberia, and this was done, research done by top scholars in the energy field, that have shown basically the best combination of complementarity of energy is to complement hydro and solar, and it shows the seasonal complementarity on this graph. And if you look at the map of Liberia, it's interesting to see that at the top where you have that shaded area, that's where you have the optimum solar production potential in Liberia. And this is something we need to explore, especially our renewable energy partners. Please go to the next slide. So what is our roadmap? So the very first thing we're doing is, under the World Bank LISAP project, we are repairing Unit 1 of Mount Coffee, which will restore 22 megawatts to Mount Coffee. And that will take us about 1.5 years, and Mount Coffee should be back to its full production capacity. Second, we have this Respite project, which is a regional project on the World Bank. It benefits Sierra Leone, Liberia, Togo, and Chad. Under that project, we will be expanding Mount Coffee currently, we'll be expanding Mount Coffee by 60 megawatts. And we'll then have a new installed capacity from 88 megawatts all the way up to 148 megawatts. This project should take between 3 to 5 years for implementation. So this is quite significant. To put this in perspective, when Mount Coffee was built, it was somewhere around 30-something megawatt, and it went to 66 and 88. And Excellency, under your leadership, we will be going to the highest it has ever reached, which is 148 megawatts. We also have with that, our Respite Solar Project, which is a 20 megawatt peak plant, we are actually in the phase of doing the financial evaluation of the bids, and we expect that an award of this contract will be done soon, and hopefully in a year and a half, Your Excellency, you'll be able to come to my coffee and switch on the first utility-sized solar power plant ever in Liberia, which will be a significant achievement, especially in the area of renewable energy, reducing carbon footprint. We're also working on a second solar project with the IFC and through a company called Scatic. Scatic is financed under IFC facility, and we have been negotiating with them, and we have made quite a significant amount of progress on that. And we hope that once we resolve the issue of land acquisition for this, we'll be able to also conclude on a second solar project. Our intention is to complement all of our hydro projects with solar projects. After that, and this is the big one, Mr. President, the real legacy one, and that is our SP2 hydro project. This project promises to deliver. I don't want to use 150 anymore because we know that we can get 200 megawatts based on the new technology that has been sourced. And right now we have a 50% conditional financing commitment for this project. And we have a task ahead of us to work with all of our partners to see how we raise the remaining financing to undertake this project. But with this project, Liberia will go up to close to 350 megawatts of solar energy, which means that we will be in the export business when it comes to electricity. After that, our major strategic objective is to store the excess water that we get in our rainy season. Because once we can store water from the rainy season, we can then ensure that our hydro is optimized, and this dry season problem will go away forever. It's a major investment at the confluence of the Bia River and the Simcoe River. There have been reconnaissance studies done, optimization studies done, and this is where we want to build this reservoir where we can regulate the flow of water and resolve our dry season problem. We also plan, again, to add solar to all of these projects that we are looking at, Mr. President. So Liberia is going to reduce significantly carbon footprints, and one of the things that I like to say is that we've been contacted by several large industries in Liberia that are internationally owned. And they have told us that they have mandated from their head offices in Europe that they must reduce their carbon footprints, and they are relying on LEC to provide that solution where they can switch off their generators. I'm going to skip this because we have a presentation, a more detailed presentation, but this is just sort of a concept design of the expansion of Mount Coffee. Please go to the next slide. So what are our major challenges? Of course, with everything we do, there are challenges that we need to work on. So our first major challenge, as everyone knows, commercial loss, is power theft. And this is, we set up a task force, we are working on it, and we are seeing results. And with those results, we are improving our financial standing and our performance. The second major challenge is the lack of public investment in the electricity infrastructure. Electricity infrastructure requires constant, regular investment, and we need to continue to do that. Of course, we have accrued quite a large bill from government. It's around 12.7. Mr. Minister, it's not your fault we met this bill, but it's something that, as a government, we have to look at how we address this. And speaking to the Minister of Finance, we're also trying to find solutions by looking at some government entities that can go on prepaid metering so that we control the waste in energy consumption. And last, of course, as I've indicated to all of you, is the power supply gaps during the dry season. And as you can see, the solution is not an overnight solution. It will take us time, but every moment that we lose is lost time in solving the problem. And of course, our cross-border debt and our legacy debt are things that we are working through. But these are major challenges that we are trying to find solutions to. And the President has said to me, you have our full support. Whatever you need, please let me know. So I want to say to everyone here, a special thank you to the President for the commitment he has made to the energy sector. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. We have a short presentation by Bill Hagan, who was the project manager for Bound Coffee. And despite the fact that we were going through COVID, we couldn't get contractors into this country, he came in and he delivered Bound Coffee in a relatively short time. So we have a lot of confidence that as our project manager, he will be able to help us deliver some of these in a very professional manner. Before Bill takes over, Mr. President, I want to make a presentation of two diagrams, one of the extension of Bound Coffee and one of SP2. It will be an honor for us if you display this somewhere that every time you look at it, you know that you have to call us and ask, where are you on this project? So please, let the President see. That is the SP2 project upstream of the Singapore River along the Boakai Road. And I will be leading a team tomorrow to this site with the Boakai mission, and hopefully some partners will join us. Please bring the second one, which is the expansion of Bound Coffee.
And we're coming to you live online on the
Mr. President, this is
platform.
the diagram that shows you the expansion project for Bound Coffee, the design, and we'll be pursuing shortly. And I cannot wait for the day that we will together for you to switch the expansion project. Thank you. Bill, we can.
Right here, the grounds of the executive mansion. That is a round table, energy round table.
Your Excellency, honorable ministers, distinguished ambassadors and guests, I just put together a couple of slides to introduce a little bit more information about the projects that we want to deliver. As you may know, Mount Coffee extension, we've been able to improve the extended capacity to about 60 megawatts from originally 40.
And the speaker will relocate.
That's better. We've also got, as Moni mentioned, the Mount Coffee Solar Project, which we're currently in the procurement stage for. It's funded by the World Bank at about 21 million. We have Unit 1 repairs, which is going to start hopefully in the next 6 months or so. And then, of course, the big one is the SP2, which currently is in the feasibility stage. Mount Coffee extension, Moni's already talked to this. Basically, it means extending the power station north in order to provide the room for 4 more units, 4 more turbines. That basically brings up the installed capacity of Mount Coffee from 88 to 148, which is about a 60% increase in installed capacity. But the important thing is that, as Moni demonstrated quite clearly, during the dry period we have a problem. So that's why we want to operate Mount Coffee extension together with the new solar project. That will maximize energy production during the dry season. During the wet season, we won't really need the solar so much, but we can still use it. And all 8 generators then will be going at full blast when there's enough water in the river. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the reservoir area on the left-hand side of the St. Paul SP2 project. And a section through the dam and a section through the power station there. Essentially, operating SP2 with its own solar project, which will be maybe 40 to 50 megawatts, will enable us to pretty much double the energy that Mount Coffee alone is able to produce right now. Next slide. At a full supply level of 161, as you can see, the production is about 850 gigawatt hours per annum. And as I mentioned, it's about twice as much as what we can get from Mount Coffee at the moment. We're talking about capital costs of about 550 million, and to that sum we have to add the cost of the early works, which includes access roads, bridges, upfront campsite, and then resettlement. This is a very schematic view of the dam itself, so you can see that sort of grey squiggly line is the dam wall. It's long, it's about 6.5 kilometers long. The dam is about 30 meters high at the moment. That may change over the next 6 months or so while we finesse the design more. Just to give a little bit of indication here about the planning side, as far as the Mount Coffee extension is concerned, as you can see, construction will start, we hope, around about the middle of next year, and we should be able to complete and commission the additional units at Mount Coffee by middle of 2028. The next slide talks about the solar project. As Moni mentioned, we're in the tender evaluation stage. We hope to be able to award that contract probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks, depending on how the negotiations go. And then we will start construction with the aim of completing that solar project by September, October of next year. And then the last slide is the schedule for SP2. Currently at the top you can see the green lines, which is all the environmental and social work we're doing. We're planning to start early works after we've got the financial closure and the bulk of the approvals we need, which will be at the end of 2025, hopefully. And we can move into early construction works and then main construction works with the intention of commissioning that scheme by the middle of 2031. That's all from me, so thank you very much for your attention.
Are we still here?
Thank you.
I'm bringing you live.
At this point, we will turn the microphone over to the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency for their presentation.
Another presentation.
Morning, everyone. And Your Excellency, Mr. President, Excellencies and Masters here, members of the Cabinet. We are from the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency, but not as big as the AEC, but we intend to fill in all of those areas that will not have access to the grid. But for this purpose of this presentation, I will be asking Mr. Stephen Porter, who is our Deputy Director for Programs, just to be able to do this presentation. Mr. Porter.
Mr. Porter will do the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nawe. And you have already set the platform, so I go straight into our presentation, which will be very short. We will be looking at what we hope to achieve, what we hope to implement to achieve universal access, and where we are currently, and the challenges ahead of us in achieving our results. Your Excellency, this little known entity
called the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency was set up in 2009 as a prototype at the Ministry, then the Ministry of Lands, Mines and Energy, and was legislated through an executive order in 2010, and in 2015, a legislation was passed giving us full-fledged authority to serve our rural population. We have a mandate to facilitate and accelerate the economic transformation of rural Liberia by promoting the development and supply of modern energy products and services in collaboration with the private sector. Our plan is guided by the National Electrification Strategy and the Rural Energy Strategy and Master Plan. Those documents were developed that are guiding us to achieve universal access by 2030, expending about $608 million, trying to reach 1.1 million rural households. Through great densification, we anticipate electrifying about 0.77 million households, which is about 70% of our targets, extending about 401 million. Through mini grid development, we hope to reach 0.126 or 126,000 households. That is about 11% of our rural population we hope to serve, expending about 168 million. And for those who basically will need electricity for lighting and other minor purposes that are categorized as Tier 1, we hope to reach about 200,000 households, expending about 38 million United States dollars. Before I speak to our current initiative, Your Excellency, I want to say hat off to our development partners. And I hope I'm not biased in not recognizing a particular donor partner. But first and foremost, I want to say hat off to the World Bank that engaged the government of Liberia to set up the Rural and Renewable Energy Agency. This agency exists in most countries, and it serves to complement the efforts of the main grid, which in Liberia is being implemented by the Liberia Electricity Corporation. So when the master plan was developed, the Rural Energy Strategy and Master Plan developed in 2016, it demonstrated that about 70 to 85% of our population, that means Liberia as a whole, will be reached by the grid. And the balance between 0 to 30% will be reached by off-grid. To date, our development partners are committed to serving our rural population, for which we have a portfolio in excess of 125 million. And I want to recognize the African Development Bank, the European Union, the United States government through its development agency USAID, the government of Sweden, the government of Norway, and other development partners. Like I said, if I'm
biased, please forgive me for not recognizing you. But all of the development partners in the energy sector, and particularly in the rural areas, are demonstrating enormous support to rural electrification. The World Bank has two funded projects that we are implementing. One is called the Liberia Renewable Energy Access Project that seeks to produce 2.5 megawatt of hydropower potential, 1.8 megawatt of diesel potential, and a distribution facility that will electrify, that will connect customers ranging from Bonjima, going through the corridor connecting to Kola Home and to Foya, and all of the major towns and villages within the corridor from Bonjima to Foya. We are targeting about 10,500 persons or households within those communities, not persons, but households within those communities. And we'll be expending about 27 million United States dollars. Of this amount, 25 million is a grant. And I want to say thank you very much to the World Bank for its support to this project. Another component of this project was the low-hanging fruit, where we imported over 50,000 pieces of solar home systems, plug-and-play systems, all of which were disseminated since the beginning of this project in 2016, somewhere toward 2020. At present, the hydropower construction is ongoing, but we are looking at an increase in the cost of the hydropower plant. So we are currently conducting a study to determine whether the hydropower plant is our best option or whether to introduce solar. But we understand that government priority is to have the hydropower plant as a viable option. So these studies are currently ongoing, and hopefully within a week or two, we should have a determination as to the way forward. The African Development Bank is providing $33.74 million to develop 9.34 megawatt of hydropower potential on the waiting for. This initiative will inject its power onto the LEC grid. So the LEC will be the major off-taker. And it is anticipated that this hydropower plant will sell electricity lower than Ivory Coast. And so we see this as a very potential hydropower site for the production of energy. Because we will be
because of time, just encourage you.
Okay. Because we'll be injecting into the LEC grid, so we sought to ensure that the population around about the grid have access to energy. To date, we have managed to electrify 6,650 customers within the project area, running from waiting for up to Banga. In Banga, we have connected 4,000 additional customers in addition to what Junko Energy, the subcontractor of LEC, is currently doing. Next slide. With the support of the World Bank, we are implementing another project called Liberia Electricity Sector Strengthening and Access Project. Currently, 90 health facilities in rural Liberia are being electrified using solar home systems. And not just the ordinary solar home system, but we are using lithium iron phosphate batteries that will ensure access to energy for between 15 to 20 years. We are also going to electrify using mini grids about 15,600 households within these areas. And we will be expending about $10.3 million. Next slide. As of to the European Union, that have committed 42 million euros. As we speak, contracts have been signed, and the city of Buchanan will be electrified within the next year or two through the development of a grid system that will connect over 10,000 customers. That power will come from the CLNG substation in Boakai. Greenville, we say hats off to the people of Greenville. You will receive power very shortly because a contract has been signed, and we are going to develop in the initial an 850 kilowatt solar potential that will connect the people of Greenville. We are going to connect about 6,000 households within Greenville, and our main supply for Greenville will be a 2 megawatt hydropower plant. Currently, we have studied Barclayville, and Barclayville will receive power through solar home systems and solar mini grids, all of which will come from the EU funding. We signed a concessional loan with the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development to develop the River G project. It's going to cost 15 million. Abu Dhabi has committed 8 million in concessional loan. The government is supposed to put in the additional financing. Unfortunately, we were not able to get any additional financing from the government. So we have tender the project, and we need to contract. We need to sign on with the contractor to begin the project. But Abu Dhabi will not allow the project to be developed except government commits to its contribution. Next. We have a few challenges, and we have a way forward. But for the sake of time, this slide will be shared with the audience. So we want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to tell you where we are and how we hope to proceed in our energy endeavor. Thank you very much.
All right, and still here, on the grounds of the executive mention, is roundtable energy stakeholders.
For the presentation, we now move quickly to a presentation from the World Bank.
And the World Bank will submit the next presentation. We're coming to you live online on the eMansion online platform. And I'm right here with you, Emmanuel Kippard, with other members of my team. Joseph Blackie, Madam Fofana Kula is the Press Secretary.
Excellencies, ministers, ambassadors,
the World Bank.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you again today, Mr. President. I and the extended World Bank Group team are really delighted to join you and the ministers and all the partners at this very important roundtable discussion. It's a welcome opportunity to hear about your government's vision and ambition for scaling up energy access for Liberians. Your vision for the energy sector and your commitment to it are very clear, and you made that crystal clear this morning to us. We very much welcome your prioritization of the energy sector for the development of Liberia. As you rightly said, Cheaper, more reliable electricity supplies are needed to fuel economic growth of the country. More specifically, energy is needed to power higher growth rates, more equitable growth, greener growth, and more resilient growth. Next year's GDP growth is projected at 5.4%, and 2025 is projected at 5.8%. These rates, Mr. President, if achieved, would be the highest GDP growth rates in Liberia since 2013. We look forward to supporting you to achieve these rates and hopefully even higher ones to continue lifting Liberians out of poverty. The current poverty rate stands at about 35%, and I'm sure we all agree this is much too high. Our discussion today comes at a pivotal time for Liberia. Your administration faces a unique opportunity and challenge to accelerate development progress, and we very much hear your high level of ambition and your impatience with slow progress. Ambitious action and catalytic investments will be essential, rooted in sound policies and institutions governing the energy sector. It's music to our ears to hear you talk about good governance and zero tolerance of corruption. As you know, corruption and opposition from vested interests are unfortunately common characteristics of energy sectors in many countries. A sector that is not encumbered by corruption, however, will have a greater likelihood of having a robust policy framework in place, which will in turn create a higher chance of much needed public and private investment. So it's really a virtuous cycle. But we here today, Mr. President, your administration, bilateral partners, multilateral partners, international financial institutions, we cannot do it alone. We need private sector partners. Official development assistance is unfortunately more scarce than we would like. So stepping up the energy agenda and meeting the investment needs that have been outlined by the colleagues very effectively this morning will require the private sector in a significant way. I'm very pleased that our IFC colleagues are here today. Mr. Dan Croft, our infrastructure manager based in Abuja, and his team, and they will look at how the IFC can leverage private sector financing for the sector. And we're very hopeful. I'd very much like to see a really innovative International Development Association, International Financial Corporation partnership in Liberia. That could be something that the rest of the world could really emulate. We look forward to building on the World Bank Group's long-standing partnership to deepen engagement in this critical sector. We believe that the transformational St. Paul River 2 hydropower plant can play a pivotal role in scaling up delivery of affordable, reliable, and greener energy for all Liberians and fostering economic development. In closing, Mr. President, we look forward to deepening our partnership with Liberia, including on the energy agenda, but in many other sectors as well. We hope that today's high-level gathering will be the first among several high-level engagements over the next 6 years, critical to drive this agenda forward for all Liberians. Thank you very much.
Already well done.
Your Excellency, President Boakai, Excellencies of the Government of Liberia, and esteemed colleagues in the Development Partner Community. I'm Franz Gross. I'm the World Bank's Regional Director for Infrastructure for West and Central Africa. And since I am the Regional Director, let me put Liberia, just for 2 minutes, in a regional context. We heard from the head of LEC that in the last 3 years, LEC has reduced its commercial and technical losses from 65% to 30%. I covered 22 countries in West and Central Africa. There isn't a single country in West and Central Africa that has dropped commercial and technical losses by 35%. Nowhere near it. So 30% is still high, and I know LEC knows that, it's working on it. But what you've achieved in the last 3 years, there is no parallel in West and Central Africa. It's outstanding. I have 2 more points. The second one is on coverage. Now, Liberia's coverage, Mr. President, we're very eloquent about this. The goal, of course, is to make sure that every Liberian has access to electricity. It's a noble and important one. Right now, Liberia stands at about 33%. In Africa, in West Africa, overall, we're at about 52%. So if you look at that, you can say, oh, how sad. Liberia is 20% below the regional average. but you've been picking up and catching up at a fast pace. 1 decade ago, you were at 13%. So in a decade, you've added 20 percentage points of coverage. The average rate at which coverage has been growing in Africa since 2000 is about 10 or 12 percentage points per year, per decade. So in the last decade, you've added 20 at a time when the continent overall was adding 10, 12 percentage points. So you're at a relatively low access level, but you're catching up, and that's the important thing. You're catching up, and you're catching up fast. And a lot of that catch-up has been due to grid extensions. I think Bonnie mentioned 80,000 additional connections just in the last 3 years. You're catching up fast. The third point, and I'd like to leave it with that, is St. Paul 2. It's either the most ambitious or one of the most ambitious pieces of infrastructure in the long and distinguished history of this country. And I was so gratified, Mr. President, when you said, we need to do this, we need to get the best technical people, put them in a preparation unit, and let them work. Let them work without political interference. You used the word cronyism, political interference. Spot on. You've nailed it. Thank you for that, because that's exactly what this project, which is the most ambitious, or one of the most ambitious, ever undertaken in this country, needs to succeed. We had a great presentation just now from the Rural Electrification Agency. If we want to get from 33% coverage to 100%, 70% of those extra people are going to have to be connected by grid. And the only way to connect them is a strong LEC and cheap power. Because as you connect more people to the grid, you can't feed them expensive thermal power. They will immediately fall behind on their bills. The only way those people can be connected and stay connected is cheap power. And cheap power equals St. Paul 2. Now St. Paul 2, $550 million. We, the World Bank, on the public and the private sector, will lead in. I'm here next to Dan Croft, my private sector colleague. We're going to try to find as much private financing towards St. Paul as humanly possible. But I also look at my colleagues in the development partner community. We need all of you. This is a huge project. The World Bank alone will be unable, between public and private sides, to provide all of the financing. We need the EU, we need the US, we need different Germany, France, other development partners to lean in on this. And I think if we do that collectively, we can put a huge and super strategic piece of infrastructure within reach. Thank you very much. Let me pass to my colleague.
Continue.
Thank you. Your Excellency, I have a brief presentation. I promise I will not take long. And just compliment. I wanted to go a little bit back, that we go a long back. When we started with Walker Hydro Dam, and that is the exact location where we have Mount Coffee. It took us 40, 50 years, but we were there in 1967 when this project was done, and we are here once again in helping you on extension. This is just a pictorial way of saying that how we are committed to helping you across the entire energy sector value chain. We are there with you on Mount Coffee. We are there on all the transmission investments that are extremely important to connect people. We are there in Lofa County. I believe you come from there. We will make sure that all the 50,000 people there have the connection through hydro or solar. We are partners in CNSG, where I have to say we are just coming from Sierra Leone, and they were asking, how come LEC is able to get 25 and 50 megawatts, we can't get more than 10? And we said, because they can pay, as you heard from LEC, and you can pay because you are connecting the cash. We are there, and I want to tell, not many people in the World Bank know, the first ever 10-year program called Multi-Phase Engagement and Energy Access world over was done for Liberia. We have done the first phase, which is called LESAP, about $80 million. We are working to get you the second phase because we have committed the entire funds. And you are there, therefore, as you heard today, why you are a leader on access is because there is a programmatic engagement for next 10 years. As Moni already briefly told you, I want to give you the good news again, that only yesterday the bids for the first ever competitive tender in the history of Liberia were opened yesterday, and your prices are close to 4 to 5 US cents. And that is also because everybody outside the private sector is seeing the improvements that LEC is making under the management. The private sector sees whether there is political commitment and whether the performance is improving or not. We will continue to work on Mount Coffee expansion. In fact, I'm delighted to hear that we thought we'll help you with 40 megawatts. You believe you can do 60 megawatts. We'll work there. And of course, we are here to unlock Central. Next slide. So, I think you have heard a lot. I'm not going to go into the details, but I want to tell what is a big strategy, how we want to help you under your able leadership. And you said it very nicely. First is how can everybody get the access. It will require a lot of money. Unfortunately, a lot of resources that a lot of donors will have to come together, as Rob said. It requires, in our estimation, upwards of $700 million just to provide last mile access based on 70% grid and 30% off grid. You will need a lot of renewable energy expansion. The bill of that, beyond St. Paul via that Moni talked about, will be upwards of $1 billion at least. And of course, what holds everything together is a commitment you mentioned very clearly on the political side, governance, autonomy to the utility, and the speed and transparency with which you go. I will very briefly, in a minute each, just talk about, next slide. I've already mentioned to you on this. I don't think I need to talk about this. This is about energy access. Now, one thing I want to say here is that we have so much of expansions here already, but I want to actually do a lot more solar PV. I want to emphasize one point that beyond respite, now you have a benchmark of 4 to 6 US cents. Tomorrow, if there is any private bidder, of course it will be slightly more expensive, but you have a benchmark on which you can work. And there's a lot more of solar that is possible, whether in St. Paul and other places, that will continue. Next slide. I just want to emphasize, and I want to say again, and I thank you for highlighting this specifically in your presentation, that it's the ability to appoint a meritocratic management selected competitively that is the heart of what LEC is. And my request to you is, you are a role model. France told you, I can tell you, rest of the 22 countries, you're also a role model there as well. We really request your leadership in continued support on ensuring the meritocratic. I will end because I want to say what is the power of digitization that Liberia can do. We have made a small video that talks about the importance of energy access by giving everyone through a website what would a digitized framework of energy access be like.
Liberia is long.
Yes, sir. I can close it?
Yeah. Just 1 second, please.
And we're right here. We are coming to you live on the Immersion online platform, and we're bringing you live coverage of the roundtable energy stakeholders interaction.
I see it as the last one.
Seem to be experiencing a moment of technical hiccup, but never mind. Yes, and His Excellency, the Liberian leader, tendering this energy stakeholders interaction with the World Bank and other energy partners.
Got it.
Okay, yes, sorry.
And after a momentary hiccup, let's go back.
Your volume.
In continuation of his PowerPoint presentation. from the World Bank.
Do you have audio from NASA, please? Is there?
Yeah.
The government of Liberia is launching the Liberian National Geospatial Electrification Platform to monitor the progress of achieving universal electricity access by 2030. The World Bank, in conjunction with Liberia's Rural and Renewable Energy Agency and the Ministry of Mines and Energy, has worked with NRECA International to implement this geospatial platform. Incorporating digital innovation and well-defined visualization, this powerful planning tool offers a database of the existing Liberia Electricity Corporation's distribution and transmission systems, planned distribution and transmission projects, and structures and roads throughout Liberia. A team of geospatial specialists evaluated data layers and determined project costs for the lowest and most technically appropriate electrification modalities. This includes options for densification, intensification, and expansion of on- and off-grid electrification in urban and rural areas of Liberia. This geospatial platform will serve as the foundation for the design, planning, and implementation of the Government of Liberia's National Electrification Strategy. It will help the private sector and decision makers across all sectors, including education, healthcare, and energy, on where and how to plan for improved and expansion of services with the availability of reliable and affordable electricity. We invite you to explore the Liberia National Geospatial Electrification Platform to secure modern electricity access for all Liberians.
That just shows the power of digitization, of going all out to the world and getting private sector. As Rob said, we cannot do it all alone. So we've got our IFC colleagues. With your permission, I'm going to ask IFC to speak for a minute.
Thanks, Ashish. My name is Dan Croft, Regional Industry Manager for Infrastructure of the International Finance Corporation. Your Excellency, thank you very much for a very inspiring morning. This is my first visit to your country. It won't be my last, I can assure you. But a lot of what I've heard today fills me with confidence that there will be a lot of private sector interest. It's often tempting to think the private sector won't come. The kind of topics that you talked about today on transparent processes, integrity, strong local management, we've heard about loss reduction, we've heard about excellent project implementation on land coffee. This is what attracts them. There is actually plenty of money out there, but it's a bit of a competition. The countries, the governments that deliver things like that move to the top of the list. They attract the interest of credible sponsors, they attract the interest of credible financiers. So although that 50% funding gap looks sizable, I'm pretty confident that there's something that the private sector can do to help. And I look forward to doing everything that I can with my team, working alongside colleagues at the World Bank Group and other development partners to make that happen. Thanks very much.
We thank the World Bank for that, and IFC for the comments. Now we have made a slight change to the agenda before you, and that is because His Excellency the President will be leaving shortly before the discussion session. We will have a representative of the donor community who I understand happens to be the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany, will make comments, opinion comments before the next session. And then after that, immediately after that, His Excellency will pose for a photo, after which we kindly ask the media to excuse us for the remaining section of this forum. Thank you. Now, Your Excellency the Ambassador.
Excellency, Mr. President.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, honorable ministers,
representatives of the legislature, heads of agencies, colleagues, ambassadors, representatives of the World Bank, international organizations. It's an honor to be able to speak to you and to the audience on behalf of the learned community. And I remember that we were assembled here on the 18th of May 2022 in this tea house. And it was a crucial moment because it gave a start to the new management of LEC, and it gave a start to a decisive fight against power. And the figures were mentioned several times. It was also the start for us as donors to regain confidence. And now we are at a crucial stage. It was mentioned several times, the enormous amount of finances that have to be found. We very much appreciate the World Bank's commitment. We have seen the figures of 300 million, which have been earmarked for the World Bank. But we have also seen the figures which are still missing, the funding gap. And it's in Florida too, between 200 and 250, plus the rural energy. And the private sector was mentioned. I was very grateful that IFC could also speak to us. And we share the optimism that IFC expressed that there will be a huge interest within the private investment community. And that interest is not just crucial for the future of the electricity supply for Liberia. It is also driven by the confidence in you, Mr. President, and in your clear words that whatever has happened, will happen in the future in the electricity sector, from nominations to decisions, is based on transparency, integrity, and clear no to communism and to corruption. And these are the conditions that our investors need to meet. As the IFC said, it's a competition. The money is there, but it's a competition about that money. And I, for one, as Germany, can say we have invested 130 million euros into the energy sector in your country. That is CLSG, the substations, that's the distribution, thank you, distribution here in Monrovia, and a part of non-profit. And I'm certainly willing to engage our investors to favorably at the future investment options. And of course, we also shareholder of the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and the biggest contributor to the European Union. So we are prepared to put our weight into this. Again, trusting in your words and the general commitment that quality, qualification, integrity, experience will be the guiding principles. And no more promising, no more corruption. And in this spirit, I thank you for having convened this meeting 2 years after the earlier presidential meeting. It's a clear sign of your commitment and also of the openness and the spirit of collaboration between your government and the international community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador. Now the group photo session will be handled by the protocol session.
Your Excellency, the President, other distinguished members of the High Table, we will now move.
And we'll leave it right there. Thanks for viewing. And
where you always assemble
we'll leave it right there from
His Excellency will join us.
Thanks a million once again for joining us. And for on behalf of the entire team, Emmanuel Kippard, Akula Fafana, Presidential Press Secretary, Joseph Blackie, we're also at Lovette Fambule and other members of this team from the grounds of the Executive Mansion. Thanks a million for being there. Blessed day, Emmanuel Kippard.